Donald Trump just dropped a bombshell on the American tax system. He's not talking about reducing income taxes. He's not promising credits or deductions. He's calling for a complete elimination of income tax on everything. And that means no tax on your paycheck, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on tips. Instead, Trump wants to replace all of it with tariffs on foreign goods. And that means you keep more of your hard earned money, and foreign companies end up footing the bill. Now, whether you agree with him or not, this plan is definitely bold and it's definitely gaining serious traction. And here's the kicker: states are already moving ahead of the federal government. So, in multiple states, laws are being proposed, passed, and implemented right now. And those align perfectly with Trump's zero tax strategy. Now, this is not a campaign stunt, it's already happening. And it could mean bigger paychecks, fewer deductions, and even refund checks from your state in the near future. But just before we take a deep dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game changing video that affects your finances. And I promise you'll appreciate it. So buckle up, my friends, and let's plunge straight in. Now, Donald Trump's proposed plan is simple, at least on the surface. No more income taxes. Instead, he's pushing for the US to fund itself through tariffs on imported goods. Now, here's what that actually means: you wouldn't pay tax on your paycheck anymore. No more taxes on overtime, Social Security, tips, or bonuses. Instead, foreign companies importing their goods into the US would pay higher tariffs. That cost would then be passed down to consumers in the form of slightly higher prices on some imported items. But here's why this plan is getting real traction: it rewards American labor while taxing foreign competition. And that is a major political move aimed at bringing manufacturing and production back to the US. And who could possibly not agree with that? Now, let's look at where we are today. So, as of now, 9 states already do not collect any personal income tax. We're talking Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nevada, Washington State, Alaska, and New Hampshire, where in New Hampshire, there's no tax on wages, but there is a tax on investment income. So that means if you live in any of these states, you're already enjoying this federal style concept. But that's just the beginning. Mississippi just made a massive move. Governor Tate Reeves just signed a bill to gradually eliminate state income tax by dropping the rate 0.25% each year until 2030. At that point, they'll reassess annually based on how much revenue they're bringing in until they hit zero. Now, here's how they're making up for it. Well, first of all, grocery tax drops from 7% to 5%. Great news. Gas tax, on the other hand, increases from 18 cents to 27 cents by 2027. Other fees and consumption-based taxes will rise to balance out the budget. Now, here's a teaser. One state is passing a bill that removes taxes only on your tips and overtime. And I'll tell you which one that is just ahead. Now, in Georgia, lawmakers are pushing to eliminate state income tax on up to $10,000 in overtime pay. Now, think about that for a minute. You work a double shift, you keep a full check. Work weekends, it's all yours. This really helps working class families immediately and directly, especially those hit hardest by inflation. Now, let's move on to what's happening elsewhere. Montana just passed a Senate bill that would lower the top income tax bracket from 5.9 to 4.7%, expand the lower rate to cover incomes up to $100,000 for individuals and $200,000 for couples. So this effectively lowers the tax burden for most residents without needing federal approval. Meanwhile, the Oregon House Republicans introduced a bundle of tax relief bills. These bills triple the standard deduction. They also remove income taxes on tips and exempts overtime pay from taxation. Now, these measures specifically target the hospitality, service, and gig industries, the people that have been hit hardest over the last few years. One lawmaker said, "No tax on overtime is a great way to give working people from Oregon real relief from rising costs." Now, in the meantime, Kansas passed a bill that kicks in automatic tax cuts whenever the state runs a surplus. If they collect more revenue than needed, residents will get a refund. No need to apply, no waiting for election years. Meanwhile, other states like Colorado and California have tested this with stimulus style checks. Kansas, though, wants to make it permanent. Now let's cover Louisiana, the home to one of the highest number of tipped workers in the entire country, especially when it comes to New Orleans. Now, a new bill would let these workers deduct 100% of their tips from taxable income. So what that means is bartenders, barbers, hotel staff, rideshare drivers, spa workers, they all would finally keep the full amount that they've earned. Now, this could be life-changing, literally for thousands across the state. Now, let's talk trade-offs. So if we remove income taxes, what takes their place? Now, here's what's likely to rise. First off, tariffs. These taxes on imported goods would rise significantly, funding the government through foreign trade. Gas taxes, already happening in Mississippi, expect to see this more. Property taxes. Some counties may boost these to cover schools and infrastructure. Sales and consumption taxes, like what Florida and Texas already do. More taxing on what you spend, not what you earn. And that's the core idea. Shift taxes from your paycheck to your purchases. Is it perfect? No. But for many Americans living paycheck to paycheck, it's a far better option. So I told you earlier about sitting in a parking lot with nothing to my name, and that moment happened because I didn't understand how taxes and credit could either build your life or quietly destroy it. Now, I've built a business helping thousands of people understand the system and reclaim their financial power. And right now, the system is shifting again. If you're paying attention, you can win. If you're not, you'll fall behind. So here's what I want you to do. Smash that like button. Subscribe so you never miss critical updates like this. And more importantly, drop a comment below. Tell me what your state is doing about income taxes, and check out a forthcoming video I'm making called How to Legally Protect Your Money in 2025. Because as this tax structure shifts, you need to stay ahead of the curve. So stay safe, my friends, and more important, stay informed.